Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhare Jaya Girivaradhare Gopi Janavallabha Yashodhanandana Braj Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Privracharya Sutasara Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Privracharya Sutasara Srila Bhaktisanta Saraswati Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radharanath ki jai. Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. They will be reading from the Nectar of Devotion. And we'll go on to chapter 6. There are certain aspects that's listed in chapter 6, but is explained in chapter 7. So I will try to do that. And we'll see how far we go. And Nana Shastra Vicharane Kanipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokhanamrita Karano Tribhuvane Manya Saranya Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nande Namataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Rupa Gopalako Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So chapter 6 is entitled How to Discharge Devotional Service. We'll read the purport of Srila Prabhupada and try to explain. Srila Rupa Goswami states that his elder brother Sanatan Goswami has compiled Hari Bhakti Vilas for the guidance of the Vaishnavas, and therein has mentioned many rules and regulations to be followed by the Vaishnavas. Some of them are very important and prominent, and Srila Rupa Goswami will now mention these very important items for our benefit. The purport of this statement is that Srila Rupa Goswami proposes to mention only basic principles, not details. For example, a basic principle is that one has to accept a spiritual master. Exactly how one follows the instructions of his spiritual master is considered a detail. For example, if one is following the instructions of his spiritual master and that instruction is different from the instructions of another spiritual master, this is called detailed information. But the basic principle of acceptance of a spiritual master is good everywhere. But the basic principle of acceptance of a spiritual master is good everywhere, although the details may be different. Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into details here. He wants to place before us only the principles. So we'll just read some of the principles of the spiritual master, pertaining to the spiritual master, and try to explain that. He mentions the basic principles as follows: accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master, becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him, obeying the orders of the spiritual master with faith and devotion, following in the footsteps of the great acharyas, teachers, under the direction of the spiritual master, inquiring from the spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness, being prepared to give up anything material for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Residing in a sacred place of pilgrimage like Dwaraka or Vrindavan, accepting only what is necessary, or dealing with the material world only as far as necessary, observing the fasting of on Ekadasi, and 10, worshipping sacred trees like the banyan tree. So we are just going to concentrate on the spiritual master subject. There's many more that's listed here, but we won't go into details with that. Maybe I'll just, at the end, I will just read it out. But for now, I just want to focus on the spiritual master and how one has to accept a spiritual master in order to make advancement in spiritual life, and that to a bona fide spiritual master. So what is the meaning of bona fide? Bona fide means that one who is coming in the line of disciplic succession directly from Krishna. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it's listed, the parampara is listed from Krishna and how the message is coming down all the way to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and then Srila Prabhupada, who is the disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and then to us, all of us, right? And so in this way, we accept those teachings, not blindly, but also, question whether these, if we have any doubts, we can question. So it's not a blind following, that you have to follow rigidly the spiritual master and, take initiation. And because sometimes, down the line, disciples, they may feel that they have chosen the wrong person as their spiritual master. So then that also is a problem. So therefore the spiritual master has to check out the disciple, and the disciple has to check out the spiritual master. So in this way, but basically in ISKCON, all the gurus are in line with Srila Prabhupada, and the teachings are in line with Srila Prabhupada. So I don't see why anyone should have a problem with that. But we have certain devotees, and I know certain of my God family also have actually, chose another spiritual master, because basically, Guru is very busy preaching and doing other activities, and they want personal attention. Now, when you take shelter for the bona fide spiritual master, you expect to receive spiritual knowledge. The spiritual master is not there to sort of give you be a guidance counselor to you, or be a welfare worker in this way and deal with your domestic problems, right? So the spiritual master is not there to deal with our domestic problems, and mostly, grihastas have issues in family life, and this they bring to the lotus feet of the spiritual master, but that's not his job. That's not his qualification. His qualification is to give you spiritual knowledge, right? And take you back to the spiritual world. So if you need a professional advice, you basically go to professional people who can help you, with the domestic issues. So, the spiritual master is not there to do all of that. So basically, I have something that I want to read from Bhakti Chaitanya Swami's seminar that he did a few years ago, and that is the demons of Vrindavan. And we find that actually Putana, she represents the pseudo guru. So we'll just read something from there and try to explain. Actually, Maharaj has taken out or most of his work from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. So this is very elevated subject matter, but Maharaj has broken it down for for us to understand. So I will just read some of that. So he says here, that Putana represents the pseudo guru. The pseudo guru may appear in one and both of two forms: a deceitful so-called guru who preaches sense gratification or liberation, or both. In some cases, this may be a person who is engaged in some Krishna conscious activity but has not realized the course of pure devotional service and tries to give instructions to his disciples beyond his own understanding or without regard for their situations. So the second point that Maharaj makes, this thing is jumping around, so please bear with me. Right, so deceitful guru. So we find that, a very nice example of a deceitful guru is given in Shastra, and that is Sukracharya. Where he gives his disciples are basically coming from the demoniac background. So, most of his disciples are demoniac, and they seek shelter of Sukracharya so that he can give them knowledge to stray them away from Krishna consciousness. And that is their desire also. They want to kill Krishna, right? So, or they want to bring down the philosophies of Krishna consciousness. So, so those people who go away from Krishna consciousness and don't accept the teachings of Krishna consciousness, they fall in this category of pseudo-guru. Inwardly manifest spiritual guide in the form of the mundane emphoric reasoning. Factually, the material mind is also like Putana. So yes, the material mind is also like Putana, because the mind may reject certain things and accept certain things. So in this way, the mind is like Putana, and mostly the mind wants to deviate from Krishna consciousness, right? This is the mind. It always wants to deviate and take you away from Krishna consciousness. But we have to take control of the mind, right, and bring it back to the lotus feet of Krishna. Even in our chanting, when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, the mind always deviates, but we should try to bring it back to the hearing of the Mahamantra, right? In order to show mercy to his devotees, Krishna sucks out the life of Putana's breast to protect his own innocent ecstasy, which has arisen within the young devotee's heart. According to the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, in her last life, Putana was Ratnamala, the younger sister of Bali Maharaj, although the Garga Samhita states that she was his daughter. So we see how Putana, she came to Krishna with a different intention, right? She came as a mother, and she wanted to breastfeed Krishna. So the mother's duty is to breastfeed the child, and here she poisoned her breast, and she came with that intention to kill Krishna. So this is like a pseudo guru who poses himself as a guru, but gives you poisonous information, right? So we should not be like that. And I'll just read some of the points that Maharaj makes here in his purport. After consulting with his demoniac ministers, Kamsa instructed a witch named Putana, who knew the black art of killing small children by ghastly sinful methods, to kill all kinds of children in the cities, villages, and pasturing grounds. Such witches can play black art only where there is no chanting or hearing of the holy name of Krishna. It is said that wherever the chanting of the holy names of Krishna is done, even negligently, all bad elements, witches, ghosts, and dangerous calamities immediately disappear. So this name of Krishna is so powerful that, even if it's done, as Maharaj is saying, negligently, or, just out of, in a teasing way, or just, out of, like Hare Krishnas are chanting down the street, and people say, oh, there's the Hare Krishnas. And that actually, just by them taking Krishna's name, millions and millions of sinful activities are destroyed from their hearts. So, so here it is being said that, it immediately disappears, all these calamities and dangerous objects, from the heart actually disappear. And it is certainly true of the place where the chanting of the holy name of Krishna is done seriously, especially in Vrindavan, when the Supreme Lord was personally present. Therefore, the doubts of Nanda Maharaj were certainly based on affection for Krishna. Actually, there is no danger from the activities of Putana, despite her powers. Such are called kechery. Such witches are called kechery, which means they can fly in the sky. Right? We normally see this, witches on broomsticks flying in the sky. So they are called kecheries. And so in the bygone ages, there were such things as, witches who could fly in the sky. And so they can transfer themselves from one place to another on one branch of an uprooted tree, right? Putana knew this witchcraft, and therefore she is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam as kechery. Kechery. Putana entered the county of Gokula, the residential quarters of Nanda Maharaj, without permission. Dressing herself like a beautiful woman, she entered the house of Mother Yashoda. She appeared very beautiful with upraised hips. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhana ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So here, so she's very duplicious, right? She comes in one form, like a very beautiful woman, and then she, changes her form. Her intentions are very bad. So, So, dressing herself like a beautiful woman, she entered the house of Mother Yashoda. She appeared very beautiful, with raised hips, nicely swollen breast, earrings, and flowers in her hair. She looked especially beautiful on account of her thin waist. She was glancing at everyone with very attractive looks and smiling face, and all the residents of Vrindavan were captivated. The innocent cowherd women thought that she was a goddess. She was a goddess of fortune, appearing in Vrindavan with a lotus flower in her hand. It seemed to them that she had personally come to see Krishna, who is her husband. Beautiful of her exquisite beauty, because of her exquisite beauty, no one checked her movements, and therefore she freely entered the house of Nanda Maharaj. Putana, the killer of many children, found baby Krishna lying on the small bed, and she could at once perceive that the baby was hiding his unparalleled potencies. Putana thought that this child is so powerful that he can destroy the whole universe immediately. Putana's understanding is very significant. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in everyone's heart. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that he gives one necessary intelligence, and he also causes one to forget. Putana was immediately aware that this child whom she was observing in the house of Nanda Maharaj was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He was lying there as a small baby, but that does not mean that he was less powerful, right? So, although Krishna was lying as a small child in the court of Mother Yashoda, right? And that doesn't mean that he is less powerful. He is powerful. He is God when when he appears as a child. He is God when he appears as Nishingadev. He is God when he appears in any of his forms. And in this way, he doesn't lose his potency because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, like in the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Lord comes in many forms, and it's just like how when we get the original candle, and then many candles are lit from the original candle. So this description is given there in the Brahma Samhita, that Krishna is the original personality of God. It is the original candle, but different candles are the different incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Putana could perceive that this personality can destroy the whole universe, and he was none other than Vishnu himself, or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's 8 o'clock now, so we'll just read a little more of the pseudo guru Putana, and things keep going around. Okay, so let me read from the Nectar of Devotion. Here, Prabhupada is saying that accepting the shelter of the bona fide spiritual master, in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd chapter, verse 21, Prabhupada tells Maharaj Nimi, "My dear king, please know for certain that in this material world there is no happiness. It is simply a mistake to think that there is happiness here, because this place is full full of mistakes, to think that, full of nothing but miserable conditions. Any person who is seriously desiring of achieving real happiness must seek out a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter from him. Right? Take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of the spiritual master is that he must realize the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberate arguments and thus be able to convince others of these conclusions. So here, Prabhupada is giving you the how to actually find a bona fide spiritual master. That he must be knowledgeable. He must be knowledgeable in scripture, and he must be able to present the teachings to you like that, as it is. As Srila Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gita is called Bhagavad Gita as it is, and because it's the way Krishna has presented the Bhagavad Gita. We have many editions of Bhagavad Gita, but none of them made disciples or pure devotees, but it's only Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is that has made so many and is still making so many disciples and devotees around the world. So let's go on reading. The qualification of the spiritual master is that he must be realized in the conclusions of scriptures by deliberate and arguments, and thus he must be able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, are to be understood as bona fide spiritual masters. Everyone should try to find such a bona fide spiritual master in order to fulfill his mission of life, which is to transfer himself to the plane of spiritual bliss. So I just wanted to read something from here actually. Before I forget, the concluding points that Maharaj has listed out here of the same subject of Putana. I'm just like trying to find that because it's actually very, very interesting. Give me a sec. Yep, there it is. Yes, so it's entitled Points Points from Bhaktisiddhanta Siddhanta's article, and the point number 1 is Kamsa, the chief materialist, in the form of aggressive aggressive empiricism, likes to suppress the truth before it is time to develop. He has an innate dislike for anything spiritual. So we see that Kamsa, he likes to suppress the truth, basically. Suppress the truth, and he doesn't like the truth to come forth. He is associated with like-minded people, including lexicographers, those who uphold dictionary definitions of subjects that are transcendental to dictionaries, and he engages such people to put down Krishna consciousness at its early stage. As soon as a transcendental child is born, he falls in the hands of Putanas, the pseudo teachers of religion. So we see here that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj is making this point that as soon as a child is born, he is basically taken away from Krishna consciousness. Our innate nature, the innate nature of the spirit soul is to be servants of Krishna. The constitutional position of the soul is to be servants of Krishna. But as soon as a child is born, then Maya envelopes the child, and he or she is given all information that is not pertaining to Krishna. Right? We are all coming in this. We are all fall in this category, and this is how we came into this world in ignorance. Om Jnana Timirandasya. We are born in ignorance, and our spiritual master opened our eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. So, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, the soul is part and parcel of the super soul, who is Krishna. But because we have fallen into this material world, then we are engaged with people who are not devotees, and they take us away from Krishna consciousness, right? So unless we are born in devotee family, now that's a different story, right? If we are born in devotee family, then from the very beginning, even whilst in the womb of the mother, we are given Krishna in the form of prasadam, in the form of hearing the holy names, the mother chanting the holy names, reading Srimad Bhagavatam like this. So from the very conception, we actually get Krishna consciousness. But unfortunately, our situation was different, and we did not get this, right? So we'll go on reading. As soon as a transcendental child is born, he falls in the hands of Putana, the pseudo teachers of religion. The attempted success of Putana over the genuine spiritual teachers is aided by the efforts of organized religion, which is atheism in the garb of theism. Organized religion is an attempt to force people to follow certain religious principles without effecting any spiritual advancement from them. So he is doomed to failure. So here it is being stated that organized religion, in the garb of religion, they actually take their congregation away from the real religion, basically. In that, even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that in the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that anyone who takes you away from the absolute truth, in the garb of religion, is actually is pseudo in this way. It is being described Satyam Param Dhimahi. They're not giving you the essence of spirituality, which is to connect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in the garb of religion, they are going to church, mosque, and temple and praying, "My Lord, give me this, give me that, give me," all these amenities that can help us to remain in this material world. Now, this is a very deep subject matter, right? To remain in this material world and to enjoy in this material world. But that is not the process of Krishna consciousness. We don't want to enjoy in this material world. We want to enjoy with Krishna and go back to the spiritual world. So all these things in this material world are considered material, right? But when we use these material assets or objects for our own sense gratification, then that is materialism. But if we use it in the service of Krishna, then that becomes spiritual. So therefore, we need to dovetail all our activities. We need to dovetail all our assets, all our amenities, all the things that we have in the service of Krishna. Make our children Krishna conscious as well, And therefore, this is a preaching movement, how to engage others in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, everything that's pertaining to going away from Krishna or that is not Krishna conscious is actually pseudo, it's false. So we'll go on reading. So they would like to improve materialism through their religion, and so enlist the aid of the Putanas. But Putana cannot be successful. One real religion has actually appeared. In fact, she is destroyed at the earliest point in its development. The would-be slayer in herself slain. This is the reward of the negative services of the Putanas unwittingly rendered to the cause of theism by strangling all hypocritical demonstration against their own hypocrisy. You know, even us, when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, then, you know, what do we find? That, hey, Prabhupada is describing me, you know, in these books. That's me. And, you know, because I'm a hypocrite, I have all of these things. A rascal, Prabhupada says. We are all of these things, right? And and then when we read this, and we say, yes, so I need to improve. And the reason why I'm reading these books is because I want to improve myself. So I should not actually try to be these things that Prabhupada is calling, you know, the materialist, basically, because we all fall in this category, right? We all come with all this materialism and all this atheism within our hearts. And when Prabhupada, he smashes. When I was reading, one of my first books is Krishna book. The first book I read was Krishna book, and then I went on to reading The Science of Self-Realization. And when I read The Science of Self-Realization, I said, oh my God, this is me, you know. All Prabhupada is talking about is describing me. So I need to improve myself, and how I should improve myself. And Prabhupada very nicely gives us how to improve ourselves is by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes. So with great deep faith and conviction, we should chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to get all these anarthas out of our hearts, right? And if we do like this, if we constantly chant every day our 16 rounds and try to follow the 4 regulative principles, and, you know, then we'll definitely achieve our spiritual destination, which is to go back to Krishna and serve him personally. Right? Personal service. We'll see Krishna face to face, dance with Krishna, you know, eat with Krishna. So this is the process that Prabhupada has given us to take us, right, to the spiritual world. So these temples are the embassies of the spiritual world, and we are given a chance to associate with Krishna's deity form in this way. And when we're dancing in Kirtan, yes, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu is very merciful. He comes off the altar and dances with us, right? So, Virabhadra Prabhu, Patita Pavan. So, in this way, you know, we gain so much more enthusiasm in our chanting, right? But Putana cannot be successful. I read that. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj concludes by saying, the effective silence of the whole race of pseudo teachers of religion is the first clear indication that the appearance of the absolute truth on the mundane plane. I'll read that again. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta concludes by saying, the effective silencing of the whole race of pseudo teachers of religion is the first clear indication of the appearance of the Absolute on the mundane platform. The bona fide teacher of the Absolute heralds the advent of Krishna by his uncompromising campaign against the pseudo teachers of religion. So if you know anything about, this may not be very clear, but if you know anything about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and how, you know, he would preach very boldly, and he was called the Lion Guru because he would smash anything that came in the way of pure devotional service, he would disregard it. And in this way, an attempt was made on his life in India when he was preaching. An attempt was made on his life in that, they tried to kill him, and he was preaching very boldly about certain subject matters that, like the caste brahmanas, were proposing, and they didn't like this, and they made an attempt to kill him. But it so happened that one of his disciples exchanged their dress, the outfits, and he basically was saved in this way. So, so yes, these false gurus and false personalities who come to propagate atheism in the garb of religion are actually baffling the whole world. They are sort of confusing everyone. But when you take one of Srila Prabhupada's books and you read it, and then Prabhupada is actually presenting the absolute truth in its pure form, and therefore the hearts of devotees around the world is actually changing, because they can see the truth for what it is. And Prabhupada, in the Science of Self-Realization, he says that if you want a cheetah, Krishna will send you a cheetah, because the Krishna is in the heart of all people. And if you're looking for a cheetah, Krishna will send you a cheetah. But if you're looking for the absolute truth, you will be directed to the absolute truth. Okay, so I'll stop there. I actually didn't finish this chapter. I just stuck to the main point, which is the spiritual master. And actually, our temple president, he'll be doing a seminar, Swarup Damodar Prabhu, he'll be doing a seminar on spiritual master, and how Srila Prabhupada is a preeminent Shiksha Guru in ISKCON, and Srila Prabhupada's position in ISKCON. And actually Srila Prabhupada's position is not only for ISKCON, it's for the whole world, because Prabhupada said that these books are the law books for the next 10,000 years for this whole world. And so Prabhupada is a preeminent guru for the whole world for the next 10,000 years. So so this seminar will be given by Swarup Damodar Prabhu, so please try to attend. For those of you who did not do this course, it's actually very beneficial, and I urge you to please try to do this course with him. So I think details will be shared on the group chat, so you can take advantage of this. And now we'll stop here. We have 5 minutes left, and if there's anything you'd like to contribute, you're most welcome to do so. Hare Krishna. Virabhadra Prabhu.
I actually have a question. I was thinking while you were speaking that about pseudo gurus, that our parents who take their children away from spiritual life and push them more towards material education, are they pseudo gurus?
Yes. Yes. Because anything that takes you away from Krishna is a pseudo, So here, this is what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj is saying, reading from His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami. As it is, it's pseudo. So, unless one is a devotee, then only he can bring the child to Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it's pseudo, it's false. He's giving the child education, but it's not in relation to Krishna. It's taking him away from Krishna. Okay, like the universities, you go to universities, you go to schools. There's no Krishna consciousness there, right? Unless there's a Bhakti Yoga society, right? then you can get some spiritualism, but otherwise, nah. Anything else? Patita Pavana? Anandamaya Prabhu, maybe you can contribute.
Hi.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Hare Krishna. So I would just like to, firstly, I guess, say something. Or is that sure of the questions? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So I want to...
You can hold it close to your mouth
Closer.
because it's very slow.
Okay, like this. All right. So, the thing is, I'm actually afraid of dying.
Mm.
Like terrified. I don't want to die. I want to, live my life to its fullest extent, or as furthest as possible. And I mean, we grew up Hindu, and we have our traditional values and morale instilled in us.
Mm-hmm.
So the other part is then trying to complete our sacred vows and duties and things like that. It's just that it's so vast, and I guess where we are, circumstance only affords us just a little piece on the outside, but in fact we need fulfillment on the inside, as was shown to us by tradition. So I guess I find the two sort of aren't
How to balance.
hard to balance. That's
Okay.
it.
Thank you very much for your question. Your name, Prabhu?
Yuvlin,
Evelyn. And where are you from?
Montclair.
Montclair, okay. So, I'm seeing you for the first time, so. Thank you for coming and attending this program, and actually you've done the right thing. Krishna has led you here. So yes, people in general, they're all afraid of dying, right? Why? Because the soul is eternal, right? And we are spirit souls. We are encaged within this body. We are eternal because we are not this body. We are spirit souls, right? You understand? Because when the body is lying in the coffin, what's missing is the soul. You have left the body, and it's only the body. But you are eternal, right? It depends on the activities you do in this lifetime will take you to your next birth. So we want to do Krishna conscious activities so we don't take birth again. We remain in our eternal form with our eternal Lord in the spiritual world. So this is my understanding and Prabhupada's understanding, and how not to be afraid of death, because we are not this material body, right? And we identify with the body. Why? Because we are so entrenched. We are coming from millions and millions of lifetimes, right? We are on the bodily conscious of life, in the bodily conception of life. So therefore we are entrenched in this bodily concept. But we need to get out of this bodily concept by the process of Krishna consciousness. Chanting Hare Krishna, engaging in devotional service, and like that, it won't happen overnight, but gradually you will get out of the bodily conscious concept of life, and you won't be afraid of death anymore, because you know that when you leave this body, you're going to Krishna. So what's the problem, you know? So, anyone else would like to answer that question? Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu, maybe?
Now what you said is sufficient. I gave in the book Science of Self-Realization already, so
Okay.
all those questions that he's raising is in that book. So please read that book and then you can connect with us. Just read that book.
What you said was sufficient.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Anything else? Mataji's? You want to say something? Contributing the contribution. Okay, give. Ganga always have such nice things to say.
Thank you so much, Rangadevi. I was trying to remember where I read this, but I was reading how someone who has knowledge and misuses it is actually more dangerous than someone who has no knowledge at all. I can't remember where I read that.
Yes, so repeat that again. Someone who has knowledge and
Someone who
misuses it.
has knowledge and misuses it, like in the case of pseudo-gurus, they may know about all the Vedas, they may know about Krishna consciousness, but they then misuse that for their own personal gain, versus someone who doesn't know anything about Krishna consciousness. Actually, they're in a better position because...
Yeah, Kamsa was like that. He was a Brahmana, he knew everything, right? And he was even giving transcendental knowledge like that. But, he misused it. So Kamsa is... So... yeah, so most probably in the Krishna book you may have come across that. Yeah, because most of these demons are highly qualified, but because they misuse that knowledge, then they become demons. They're envious of Krishna. So we are also, why we have fallen into this material world, because of envious of Krishna. But now that we've come to spiritual life and we want to rectify ourselves and go back to Krishna, it's like, in a state there has to be a prison house, right? Because there will be people who will not follow the rules and regulations of the state. So we have been like that, we were with Krishna, and somehow with some contamination we have fallen into this material world. So now we need to rectify ourselves and go back to the spiritual world. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Nectar Devotion Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bo.
Her Grace Rangadevi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.